Hello, family. This is Gwen. Today is Friday, the January the 5th, 2018. Happy New Year. The time is about 11:14 p.m. I wanted to talk about race, Caucasians, ethnicity, and culture and biracialism. And the one reason, first thing I'm going to start on is talking about Caucasian, because the thing is that white Caucasians are the only Caucasians that don't have color. And here is a definition. And it basically says that it's an obsolete characteristic or definition. Okay, but anyway, I put down here Caucasoid. The Caucasian race, also Caucasoid or Europoid, is a grouping of human beings historically regarded as a biological taxon, which depending on which of the historical race classifications used have usually included some of or all of the ancient and modern populations of Europe, the Caucasus, Asian Minors, North Africa, and on. What's significant is this. These right here are images, for the most part, of Caucasoids. She isn't. I think she's considered black. And let me click on here for more images of Caucasians or Caucasoids. Now, they used to have only three of them, three races: Mongoloid, Negroid, and Caucasian. But then they later grouped them into five. And I'm going to zoom in on this one as far as it'll let me. Let's see if I can get that to move over. Can you see that Caucasoid, Africoid, Mongoloid, American, and Australoid? This one used to be lumped in Caucasian, and this one was Mongoloid, I believe. Yeah, because they say that Native Americans are kin to Chinese as they came across the Bering Straits of North Russia into the into the Alaska area, and then came on down to the Americas and spread all the way down to South America. But if you listen to the Native Americans, as they tell it, they will say they were already here and they didn't come via the Bering Straits because they were already there. And if you look at a world map and know about the Olmecs of South America, you can see how they could have already been here as well. There you go, world map. And I'm going to see if I can find a good world map, because I want to show you how close South America is to the African bend, the little bulge out of Africa. If it'll show up. Let me see if I can get that. Okay, it's not letting me do it, and I don't want to keep fooling with it. So, but if you ever seen an African map, you know what it looks like, I think. So let me jump back on over here. Now, these are variations of people, and these are Caucasoids. Let me see, can I zoom in on that a little bit? This one right here, this Caucasoid bunch. From the Middle East, Horn of Africa, India, Pakistan, Turkey, and Afghanistan, Iran, South Europe, East Europe, and North Europe. Okay, put a pin in that. Now we go to who are the Caucasoid people. Sometimes. Let me see if I can get that one to do it. There you go. And that talks about them, right? And this is the page I'm looking for. The Caucasoid race consists of North Africans, Arabs, whites, Somalians, some people in India, and in the Ethiopias, and are Ethiopians. Whites are mostly the people who belong to North Europe or Europe. So the only Caucasians who have white skin are the white people of Europe. The rest of the Caucasians have color. That was something that it took a while for me to get my head around when I was learning this stuff early on. I knew it a long time ago. I forgot when I learned that first. First time I learned that Arabs were Caucasians was in the 70s when they told me. Because me being my little nosy self, I'm out jumping around finding out about people. And so that's what I think I was in Texas at the time. And that was when the Air Force was training Texas people. And so I mean, the Air Force was training Middle Eastern people. This was before the Iran siege of the embassy in Iran. So they were training them in aircraft and flying and various things. So they had Middle Eastern men from Iran and Arabia. And that's when I learned that the Arabs were Caucasians and the Iranians would tell you they were Persians. I don't think I met any Iraqis. I've met very few Iraqis, but that's when I first heard about, the Arabs being Caucasian, and they would tell you they're white even though they're darker than I was at the time. So all of these levels of people would tell you they're Caucasoid. I want to zoom in some more if I can. And it's not letting me. Not well, anyway. There. Now, the thing is, even though everybody on all of these people can call themselves apples or bananas, as long as this melanated person can override the rule of genes or color genes of not only this one, but everybody in between him and him, they are a target. That is a problem for all of these other men. As long as this one's genes can override this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and this one is always going to be a threat. They are always going to have a problem with him. This is primitive brain stuff. This person is never going to see them as a threat. So he is always going to be relaxed because he don't see them as a threat. His genetic material can override all of theirs. However, they will always see him as a threat because they know that their genetic material will be overridden by him and him, these two, the two darkest. So the darkest people on the planet are the black people. No pun intended. And the white people and the lightest people on the planet are the white people. We are always going to be unless we're aware of it and ready to do what it takes to protect ourselves, we're always going to be at a disadvantage when we are with them because we don't never perceive them as a threat. And so we'll always approach them relaxed. They always will approach us on guard and ready to, and not relaxed. Okay? So we're going to always have that problem. The key to us is to recognize friend from foe, and that's what we've got to grasp. So, as you can see, these are all Caucasians. This is the only one we usually talk about when we talk about white supremacy. But it's really supremacy of everybody that ain't us, because our genes can override all of them, and that's why we underestimate the problem at times. Now I'm going to zoom out a little bit and show you the rest of these people who would be defined as Caucasians. They have a few black people that they threw in there as they do with these images off of Google. But as you can see, these are all kind of brown and black and highly melanated people. Okay? Ignore Snoop Dogg. I don't know why Snoop Dogg is on there. And these are just images you can pull up yourself, okay? Now, I'm going to go to some pictures. This is me in Egypt, and my second adventure in to illustrate my point. This is me in Egypt. I'm at a bazaar, and I'm getting my picture taken. I think This is a gentleman. He's one of, I think, seven brothers, and I think he's 24. His wife is around there someplace, and I'm standing up behind him taking pictures because he's one of the best salesmen, finding me some bargains because I'm shopping for me and my aunt and some other people. Okay, people have, my family members have deposited money in my bank account in my hometown, and I'm writing checks and cashing them and going out to this bazaar and getting these merchandise from these Egyptians because I'm into it. I'm in high shopping mode. But as you can see, my coloring and their coloring. This is real live people, me and them. Okay, my coloring isn't that different from theirs. But as I'm talking to them one afternoon, they told me they were white. I thought I misunderstood. They and I looked at the other one to see, the one that spoke English a little better, and he's nodding his head. And I looked at the lady, and she's nodding her head, and they considered themselves white. It was puzzling to me, but I'm not arrogant enough to interact with people and decide who they are. One of the most presumptions, arrogant things that I can't stand when I'm dealing with a person, to include white people, and especially including white people because they're the ones who do it the most, is somebody to tell me who I am when I know who I am. They define me. You're this or that. I'm not what I thought I was. They decided I was something. Okay, so I won't do that to them. I won't decide they are something I decided they were because, well, they don't fit with my reality of what things are. So I'm not arrogant enough to tell them that they're not white. I am going to look at them and say, okay, let me figure out why they are saying they're white. And so I did, and I investigated later, and I found out more about it. Okay, this is his mother, that lady. Me and that lady are about the same age. I think she was 39 and I was 40 or thereabouts. I was 40 on that picture. Okay, and she's my same age. And this is my aunt. I juxtaposed this because I ran across my aunt's picture, one of my aunts, and these are her grandkids. This is her husband in the background, and this is this lady. I wouldn't show her picture, but she's already deceased now. Otherwise I wouldn't let you see her picture. And he's deceased. But as you can see, I was confused upon hearing that, okay? Because this lady is black. These grandkids are black. This man in the background is black. I think he's part Hispanic, but in his world, in his mind, he's black. Okay? But these people right here are white. I was confused. But when you look at that definition, well, this definition, they fall under that. Arabs. Egyptian are really Arabs. They were part of the Arab expansion into Egypt and North Africa and all of that. So, I mean, and for a while there, Egypt was called the Arab Republic of Egypt. So they're descendants of Arabs, if not calling themselves Arab altogether. Excuse me. So I just wanted to get that point out. Y'all with me? Y'all get it? Now, just for giggles, I'm gonna show you the second picture that I pulled up, just second group, and I'm gonna do a more extensive thing about this group because this is out of the Cairo Museum. I took about 17 rolls of film in Egypt while I was there, so I got pictures, 17 rolls of film all stacked up. This is a black person's body type. Now, historians will tell you that they're abstractions, and Greek, especially Greek historians, because that's what they were taught, that they were abstractions. I say they're not abstractions. I say they're actual pictures of the way the people looked at the time. This is a black person's neck and our shoulders and our triangular shape, okay? And the feet are just like ours. I keep Sorry about that. Okay, what did I do? We don't know what I did. Jump back over there. Delete, close that one, and then see if I can go to the next one. If it'll let me. Well, I did find that. Now, give me a second. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about that. Now, because I was being genius and forgetting how to do what I'm doing. But anyway, this is a black person's body type. And so, don't let the people who are other kinds of historians tell you that these aren't black people in the early parts of Egypt. You can look at that and tell that's a black person's body. Still got our long, flat feet, just like we do. This look like a basketball player, or just a black man wrapped up in a towel going someplace. There's nobody more vain than us, even an ordinary person. That's the first thing you know about black culture. And these are us. And what you're doing is seeing a slow population change from dark black to mixing with browner people, and they're getting lighter. So that's how they're getting from deep black to brown to lighter brown, and then finally to very light. It's through mixing, race mixing. Okay. Now this right here, this picture is from me. This is the picture I took when I after I climbed to the top of the pyramid, and I turned around and took a picture of down below, from below, and these little bitty specks of people way down here. And this is me standing. This is my view from the top of the pyramid that I was walking on, that I came up. And I just wanted to share those with you, just those three pictures. So what I did was find a paragraph from an article from a book about David Duke, the guy in New Orleans, the Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan in New Orleans. I have this article that came out about him way back, I guess early 90s or so. They had a newspaper article about him, and they recounted the story from his memoir, talking about him and his pet white rats. I have a cutout of that article, and I keep it with my copy of the Crest, her journal of the Crest thing of race confrontation, and the wordings completely slipped my mind, but it's Dr. Frances Cress Welsing's first journal, and it's a doctorate for her doctorate, and I keep it right there. The Cress theory of color confrontation, and where she talks about when she first addresses pigment and melanin, and how the dark melanin overwrites the white melanin, or the lighter melanin. It not only overwrites white melanin, it overwrites everything in between it. Okay, so this right here, I googled using these words up here, David Duke and his pet white rat, and then it came up on page 73 of his book about David Duke's history. And the reason why it's highlighted on these pages, on these little sections here, is because that's part of one of the search criteria. I'm scared to take it out because I don't know what happened to it, and I don't want to search for it again. So we're going to talk about how he had the pet white rats. And there it is. Duke always had many pets, including snakes, toads, dogs, cats, squirrels, birds, and goldfish. In the story, Duke loves to tell that he saved up enough money to buy 2 white rats. Both were female. He kept them in a homemade wooden cage in the garage. One of the rats became pregnant, and David assumed the other rat must have been a male. The litter was born. They looked normal for a few days until the rats began to move. Now, this is significant. They were not slow moving like their parents, Duke said, but crawled swiftly. When hair began to appear on the babies, I quickly noticed that they were covered in gray fur. Gray fur. Okay? He took the rodents to the pet shop where he was told that the original white rats were indeed female and that a wild rat must have mated with one of them. He was amazed by the difference in the parent rats and their mixed offspring. That's why I keep that with the copy of Kress' theory of color confrontation, because that in a nutshell is what explains white supremacy. Okay? Okay? Do y'all understand? So, what I'm getting at is that no matter what label you call yourself, even if you are technically a Caucasian, if long as you got that brown pigment in your skin, you are a problem to those of light skin or lighter skinned. So, far be it from me to tell you who and what you are and what you ought to identify with. That's going to be up to you. I just suggest that you don't have any illusions about where you fit when it comes to people with lighter skin than you, and that is a lighter skin group. Okay? That's the whole point here. So you can be Caucasian and you can be blonde and all of that, but long as you got that pigment in your skin, I don't know why that's there. I didn't even notice that before. But anyway, long as you got that pigment in your skin, that's going to override this skin. That's going to overwrite that skin, and this one is going to have a problem with you. You're going to be relaxed and unwary. This one is going to be very wary. This one is going to try to get everything they can. You're going to say, sure, you're welcome in my house. Okay? So Google those. Look at those. These are fascinating as far as I'm concerned. Now, finally, the thing about biracials. Oh, let me back up a minute. Now, even though they're talking race and stuff like that, and it's a misnomer and a non-title because it's obsolete according to them, people still use it. But what I want to talk about is nationality, and that's just don't get nationality and race mixed up, because nationality just means your nation of where you recognize yourself, or the nation you were born. Like America is my nationality, but it's not my race. That's all. And ethnicity and culture, as I looked them up, they were used interchangeably and had the same definition. They were saying things like ethnicity or culture, that kind of stuff. Now I get to biracial. There are a lot of people who are mixed blood and biracials. I get it. I even understand multiracial. But the biracial has a choice. If they identify black and they understand black and live black and have black motives and black purposes and things that help black people, and you are indeed married to a black person, I'm not going to suggest that that black person get rid of you and go marry somebody black just to be with us. I say that if you're one of us and recognize and understand yourself to be a black person, then you're welcome, except you won't be having contact with your white side of the family. So you might want to rethink that if they're real close to you, because we don't need white people in us as we're trying to heal. That's a problem, because nobody can heal when they're keeping being reinfected or re-exposed to the thing that made them sick. So we have to, if we're going to move forward, we got to separate. And biracial people are the ones on the fence. They got three identities. They have the white identity, the black identity, and the middle identity. So whichever one that you identify with is going to be telling you your way of moving forward. I don't accept biracial if they don't recognize themselves as being wholly black and live black and have a black agenda and black purposes and black uses, and living and understanding their relation to us. And that's all people of all groups that might want to, come and interfere with our ability to heal. Now, if that biracial person identifies as white, as most of them do, they need to stay on where they were. The biracial person that identifies as black yet has close contact with that white family can't come because we don't want the white family with in our proximity. Our whole dynamic changes when white people are around, and we can't heal like that. Even if the gentle white person who wants to help, even their very help is harmful because they're telling that it's implied that we can't help ourselves and so we need them, and thus further crippling us. So even if you're a generous, kind person, the best you can do is give us your absence. Now, if you want to write a check, leave it at the door, and wave bye and keep going, that's okay. We'll take the money, but we don't want nothing else. But do be available should we need something from you, such as teaching us how to do something we don't know how to do, and that was overrode when we had the ability to learn. There are a lot of things that we were that was refused to be taught to us, so we don't know how to do those things. We're having to learn it on our own because still it's not, nobody wants to teach us, so we got to work our way through that. But you need to, we'll come to you for the lessons. You can't come among us. So that's what I'm saying about biracials. Recognize where you stand and go there. Please don't come here and bring your white family, because we don't want that and we don't need that. Nor do we need confusion. Okay? So just stop making it about your agenda, the biracial people. And finally, the ones who do have mixed African blood, listen, we understand it and we see you. But like I said before, as long as your melanin overwrites that being that's a group that's lighter than you are, you're the one that's going to be having to deal with the consequences of people coming at you. But we don't have time to fool with you because we got our own healing to do. So yeah, Mexicans are Hispanic and they are mixed blood, but they don't identify with being black. There are people who have less blood than the average Hispanic that are black, less black blood than the average Hispanic that are black, but yet they see and identify themselves as black, and they understand that homeship that's black. Hispanic don't. They got another whole culture. Now I'll tell you what the culture of Hispanic is. It's part Spaniard, part black African, and part Native American. The descendants of the Native Americans, the Incas, the what is those Mayans, Incas, and the other Native American tribes in the South Americas. When the Native American tribes in the South Americas got conquered by the Spaniards, the conquistadors, their Spaniards were male and they mated with the Native American females and had offspring. But not only that, the conquistadors brought African male slaves to work the plantations. These men also mated with the female offspring of the female local women of the Native Americas, and then they created offspring as well. The offsprings of these varying groups intermixed, and then they became Spanish-speaking group of hybrids. So there are three races that are in the South American Hispanic community, and they're all mixed. And each individual has varying degrees of the genetic information from the varying parents. So you got some with straight hair, some with kinky hair, some with dark skin, light skin, and all those variations in between. Okay, so that's what a Hispanic race is. I was looking on one of the videos some time ago where the Hispanic people were couples, several of them as a matter of fact, that had gotten their DNA ancestry stuff back, and then they're jumping around surprised that they got African blood. But any history book could have told them that. And it was just like the DNA mix that I just mentioned. So so I have to smile at that because I don't know why they don't know, but apparently it's messing with their head. Now, before Hispanics did used to identify with black people, they did recognize a camaraderie when I was growing up in the 70s. Then something broke away and they suddenly aren't black or don't understand an identity with black. So be it. Nobody wants to be identified with the people at the low end of the totem pole or the people at the bottom. Nobody wants you when you're down and out. You have very few friends when you're on the bottom of the heap. But the reason why I'm making this is those that on the higher levels of the heap, you're still in trouble because your DNA mix is got black in it and it overrides the DNA mix of white. Just to let you know, just putting it out there for you. Okay, I've said everything I had to say. I'm about 30 minutes. That's all I wanted to spend. Thank you for listening to me. This was fun. Okay, bye bye.